welcome to Eternal Rambles, where the Eternals ramble eternally. I am Aaron.
I'm Kodig.
And I'm Ryan.
And we do have a slightly different format today. As anyone who's listened to this knows, we have two very good microphones and one...
Very crappy microphone.
It's not crappy. It's okay.
It's crappy.
It's not, we're using it for a purpose that's not originally intended to be used for, but we're doing it anyway. Yeah. I am using that microphone because Kodig and I have determined that Ryan cannot just sit there and speak into the microphone. So I've taken it upon myself to talk into the microphone and see if we still have that volume issue. You will find out if it worked, I guess.
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll see.
So today we are talking about Marvel Phase 2, or 2, for those of you who don't speak French.
Pretty sure it's Spanish, whatever.
And Ryan scored a 10 on understanding sarcasm.
Oh, jeez.
So we have the list of movies up because, like, when for those of you who listened to our Phase 1 conversation, we kept bleeding into later phases because
we get into one topic, which led to another topic, which led to a new topic, and kind of ended up elsewhere.
Yeah. So we're going to try to do this a little bit more movie by movie. We will most likely fail, but you know, why does
Iron Man 33?
Yeah, why does the document say Iron Man 33?
I don't know, but I haven't wanted to
Kodig is the one who wrote the document. He did write it like very quickly, like just before we started. But I'm seeing none of it's capitalized, by the way. It's Iron Man 33, Thor: Dark World, Winter Soldier, Guardians, Ultron, and Eamon. Which I guess we can start here real fast, because why not? Kodig and Ryan were actually arguing with me before we started that Ant-Man was not the last movie of Phase 2, but the first movie of Phase 3.
Or that
I get the reasoning behind making it the
part
last
of
movie of
Phase
Phase 2,
2,
because Civil War is a great place to start off Phase 3.
It's the first movie of Phase 3, yeah.
But, like, it seems weird to not make the Avengers movie the last movie of a phase.
Because that's how it tends to be. Like, Avengers was the last movie of Phase 1. Endgame is the last movie of Phase 3.
Yeah.
Also,
and then you just have Ant-Man as the last movie of Phase 2.
2.
It's so weird.
Also, Ant-Man has no relevance to the rest of
Phase 2.
At all. He's just set up for Phase 3.
I think one of the reasons why they decided to make it the last movie of Phase 2, besides making Civil War Phase 3 and Ant-Man's in that movie, is one of the complaints everyone was talking about with Phase 2 was most of the movies are very, very serious. They're very heavy movies. So Ant-Man, which is more of a lighthearted heist movie, instead of being like all the other movies of Phase 2, I think they wanted to have...
Guardians is not serious.
They wanted kind of a fate. They wanted a... Well, the thing is, it's Guardians, and then Age of Ultron.
And to be fair, yeah, Guardians doesn't really have much to do with anything in the MCU.
It feels way more like just a standalone movie that has nothing to do with the rest of the plots. It does, obviously.
Yeah, it introduces the Infinity Stones and the larger galactic.
It was the first time
conflict.
they name dropped Infinity Stones. It wasn't because technically the Tesseract was the first introduction of Infinity Stones, but that was a retcon for later. It's like, hey, Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
So, kicking off into the first movie of Phase 3, Iron Man 3. Now,
Iron Man 33, according to the document.
I personally...
We're not letting this go.
had mixed opinions on this. When I first watched it, I hated it. Like, when it first came out, I did not like it. Keep in mind, I was like, what, 13? How long ago was it?
I think 2013 is when the movie came out.
Yeah, I think I was like 13 at the time. To me, it was too much Tony, not enough Iron Man at the time.
Yeah, it's 2013 was when the movie came out.
I still think too much Tony, not enough Iron Man. But I get now, like, the movie's a pretty good movie, I would say.
Your complaint, Kodig, is the complaint everyone basically had. Anyone who complained about the movie had the complaint of it was too much Tony, not enough Iron Man action. And the people who have that complaint misunderstand the purpose of the movie. It is the story of Tony, proving it's not the suit, it's him. He is Iron Man.
No, I get that.
Yeah,
I get
that is
That's
the
the reason
point
why
of that
now
movie.
I can look at that and be
He's like, I loved Iron Man 3 even when it first came out. And it wasn't even like I said, it was 2013, so I was
like 17,
16
16.
years old. I wasn't as critical back then as I am now, mostly just because I hadn't yet discovered my love of film critique. I watched I think it is the Marvel movie that I have seen the most in theaters. Not because it's the best, Lord no. It's because I kept running into people who hadn't seen the movie. I don't know who I saw it with the first time, but I was like, I remember one time I was like, I went and saw it. I was like, oh, it's a good movie. And then I talked to Ryan and was like, oh, I haven't seen Iron Man 3. He's like, well, let's go see Iron Man 3. And then my family is like, oh, I haven't seen Iron Man 3.
Thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome. Let's go see Iron Man 3. So I saw it like 4 or 5 times in theaters just because it's like I wanted people to watch the movie because I knew people had heard like, oh, it wasn't very good. I was like, no, let's go see it. Let's watch it. Let's have that opinion change. My sister is still of the opinion that it's not a very good movie, and I asked her, watch it again. Especially with after having seen Endgame and seeing where Tony's character ends up and everything, and then the understanding of the MCU, watch it again. If you in the audience don't like Iron Man 3 but have not watched it recently, watch it again, fresh eyes. The understanding of this is basically explaining like it's like you have Avengers and Tony threw himself into a wormhole to save Manhattan. And then Iron Man 3 takes place immediately after that. And you see, it's one of the most famous lines of Tony in general. It's like, gods of the dimensions, I'm just a man in a can. He is a normal-ass human who has this responsibility thrusted on him by the world and by himself. He feels like he is responsible for the protection of the Earth because I'm the single smartest and most capable human being on the planet. But there's Hulk, who's a giant rage monster. You have Thor, who's a literal demigod. You have Captain America,
who's a goddamn legend.
The first Avenger. And then you have Black Widow and Hawkeye, who are trained assassins, agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I am a man in a can. I built a suit, and now all the responsibility is put on me. And when I was fighting terrorists and whack jobs from the Earth, I didn't care because
cool.
Because my territory, this is the Earth, it's my responsibility. I'll deal with Earthbound threats. And then an army came from space.
And the important thing is only Tony actually saw the full scope of that army. While he had rode a nuke through a space portal to another side of the universe. And he looked at this vast army and realized this was but a piece of what was coming.
Like, we won because we had them in a bottleneck and that we closed it. That's why we won. So it's a really emotional, heavy movie with, and it deals with a lot of really important issues.
Like, post-traumatic
stress disorder.
PTSD.
How people who can't receive help are forced to turn to other means to receive that help, that they don't have that person's best interest at heart. About how, in a famous quote of the Joker, all it takes to descend into madness is one really bad day. And it's the choices we make that determine how we end up.
And at the same time, it's Tony coming to realize that I don't need the suit. I am Iron Man. I am. Everything that makes me great comes from me. I built the suit as an extension of that.
And also there are people who misunderstand the ending of that movie. About how when Tony basically destroys all of his suits, people come to the like, oh, that was him quitting being an Avenger. It's like, no. It was him proving to Pepper that she matters the most to him. Like, my suits, I thought they were a part of me. They're not. They're not a hobby, like you said they were. But you mean more to me than they are. So, to prove to you my commitment to our relationship, that I'm going to try and I'm going to work hard. That's what that meant. It wasn't I'm done. It was a symbolic gesture to Pepper, because it's like what, Mark 33
Yeah.
is like, he has more. He has more than enough resources to keep building suits. So people misunderstood the ending of that movie wholeheartedly. Like, they didn't get it. Which I'm not going to say that anyone who didn't get it is stupid. It wasn't framed the best.
Not
because
really.
because Tony, being Tony, uses sarcasm and one-liners and doesn't actually fully explain everything. Like,
yeah.
that is Tony's biggest flaw as a person. He does not fully explain his decisions.
Because of his natural defense to being confronted is to throw sarcasm at them. Sarcasm, jokes, one-liners.
I don't have a whole lot of commentary to add here. Like, honestly, I like Iron Man 3, but that's more y'all's thing. Alright, let's move on to the next subject. Thor: The Dark World, Thor 2, probably the worst Thor movie in the Thor movies, in my opinion.
Probably the worst movie in Phase 2.
Probably the worst movie in the MCU. You know what? That's Captain Marvel.
Okay, full disclosure. I don't think any of us actually sat down and watched Captain Marvel.
No, I have.
You have? Okay.
I worked in theaters when it came out, so
Right.
I watched it.
Okay, well, Ryan and I have not. We're going to have to watch all these movies we haven't seen when we discuss Phase 3.
I don't want to watch.
Because I didn't watch Captain Marvel, and I didn't watch
Marvel.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. I had no interest.
I have seen every single movie in the Marvel Universe at least once, most of them multiple times.
Okay. Thor: The Dark World has so many issues that they were trying to...
Here's my thing. I think Thor: The Dark World had a lot of good moments. I think the idea of going with the Dark Elves was a good idea. I just don't think they were portrayed the best that they could have been.
The problem for me is that they were trying to do... They came along the same problem that Superman versus Batman had. They were trying to do too many storylines in the same movie.
Like, what do you mean?
You have the conflict between the Dark Elves and Asgard, which is supposed to be a storyline of Thor coming to realize that I don't want to be king. At the same time, you've got the Infinity Stone arc storyline as part of that.
Well, I think those two specifically work really well together.
Hang
because
on,
the way
hang on, let Ryan finish.
You've got the conflict between a god and a mortal falling in love, and how that relationship really doesn't work. Because Thor lives for thousands of years, and Jane will go out in the bat of an eye.
I feel like they could have tied these three storylines together really well. Oh, here's something that not everybody knows. Did you know in the original script for The Dark World there was a love triangle between Thor, Jane Foster, and Lady Sif? If you watch the movie with that knowledge, you can see certain scenes,
The hints of it,
like
being a
when
thing.
like Odin, like in the beginning of the movies, like you'd be better served by what's in front of you, and it cuts to Sif in training. Or like when Thor and Jane are having a conversation, like, we gotta protect Jane, we gotta protect Jane, we gotta protect Jane, and then it cuts to the soldiers marching to fight the Dark Elves, and you see Sif among them, and she turns and she watches Thor, and all he's concerned about is saving Jane. I'm glad they cut that.
I'm glad
This
they cut
movie would
that.
not
This
have done
movie
well
would
with
not.
an additional plot point like that. Love triangles are never done well.
They are always garbage.
Are you saying they can't be done well, or they aren't?
I'm saying they've never. I can't say it can never be done well, because in my opinion as a writer, there is always a correct way to do something. In every instance of the love triangle that I have seen ever, it has never been done well.
Yeah.
The problem with the love
The
triangle...
only thing worse than love triangles are will they, won't they.
Oh yeah.
The problem with love triangles is, in order for them to work as an actual...
You know what's even worse than that?
thematic thing, you have to have three characters with enough chemistry between them to make friendships work, to make relationships work, and there's just not enough space in a movie to make that functioning capable, and it leaves you in very fragile, shaky ground.
The closest I've seen a love triangle coming to a love triangle working was, and this is going to be kind of was in the Thundercats reboot, Thundercats 2011, where basically it was our entire people have been wiped out. We are going, basically, we're going to get, like, Lion-O's whole thing is we're going to get revenge on the people who wiped out our people. And it expands into a greater threat to the entirety of Third Earth. And the love triangle is Lion-O and his half-brother, well, it's not really a half-brother, more like adopted brother, Tigra, I think is how you pronounce his name. And they're both in love with Chitara. The love triangle comes into interesting play because it's Tigra and Lion-O fighting over her. Tigra thinking he doesn't have a chance because Lion-O, he's the king. He has the Sword of Omens. And every time he sees Chitara is with Lion-O, helping Lion-O do stuff. And then you find out later that it was never a love triangle. Chitara had fallen in love with Tigra years ago. She made her choice years ago, but Lion-O is her king and he needed her help. So it was a misunderstanding between the brothers. And then at the end of it all, when it was revealed that Chitara loved Tigra and they kissed and Lion-O witnesses it, when they have a conversation, Lion-O says, "I'm happy for you. You guys are adults. I'm an adult. You're my brother. You're a friend of mine. I'm happy for you." None of this teenage drama bullshit. It was a misunderstanding of the affections being presented.
Mm.
Lion-O mistook Chitara's helpful attitude and physical contact with being romance. Thor: The Dark World, I don't see that kind of situation happening. Because Lady Sif has been one of Thor's best friends. They've fought together for centuries. She is a strong, like in the first movie, he's like, "And you, Sif, who denied the thinking that a woman could be one of the greatest warriors in Asgard? I did. That's true, but I supported you." So that they've been friends for years, comrades in arms for years. One of the few people that Thor actually listens to
and respects.
And then you have Jane, a woman that he met in a moment of weakness. He met her on Earth, spent like maybe a long weekend together, and then apparently fell so damn hard for her that after all these battles, all he does is wrap himself in his Snuggie and mope about, "Oh, my girlfriend's on Earth." And Lady Sif just being like, "The fuck is wrong with you?"
What is wrong with you?
It's like, do you think nobody notices that you slink away during the evening? Or do you go? Not good. Also, huge disrespect to a Doctor Who. He plays the villain. In the Ninth Doctor. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I probably looked this up.
Yeah, it's just...
He's totally wasted in the role.
Malekith?
Yeah, in Malekith.
Yeah, and in the role of Malekith, he's wasted because Malekith doesn't do anything.
Here's the thing, they don't really present Malekith as the danger that he is because he's just another...
Christopher Eccleston. Christopher Eccleston is a fantastic actor, and in the role of Malekith is wasted. Now, do I think he needed to be this big, like, chatty, like, bombastic? No. That's not the role he should have had. But Malekith needed a weight and a presence to his character, which Christopher Eccleston is more than capable of doing. But they never gave him an opportunity to. The most threatening person in the Dark Elves was the big brute guy with the horns.
Yeah, the guy who straight up could not be killed by anything they had on their disposal.
He was the most threatening person, which is not how that's supposed to work.
Malekith should have been Malekith is the king of the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves waged an actual war against the Asgardians and managed to hold their ground. Malekith should have been on par with Odin. Or at the very least, a little bit below him.
Like, here's the thing, is like, in the first movie with Lokier, I think is what his name is? No, Laufey, I'm sorry. Laufey, king of the Frost Giants. When they have conversations, you don't think that, it's like Thor is stronger than Laufey is. Mjolnir and the Asgardian and all this stuff, you can tell. But Laufey has this weight and this regret. It's like, you do not understand the actions, you do not understand the consequences your actions will cause, Asgardian. I do. Leave now, while I still allow it. Like, you don't get to see Laufey really do anything impressive in that movie. But because of that scene, and every time he talks, he has full command. Even when Loki goes to
Jotunheim.
Jotunheim, and it is like he walks in and he goes, "Kill him." He's like, "After all I've done for you, so you're the one who showed us the path." In that scene, even though Loki's kind of being all like snarky and being like, "You will return Jotunheim to its former glory," like you can tell, like Laufey recognizes Loki is being snide to him, but doesn't care. He has an authority to him in every scene he's in. Even whenever like remember he's leaning over Odin's like, "It is said that you are still aware of all things around you in Jotun sleep. I should hope it is true. That way you know that your end came at the hand of Laufey." You have that like, oh shit, he's gonna kill Odin. Nowhere at any point in the movie do you feel like Malekith has any real power
or presence.
Because even whenever he has the Infinity Stone and he's attacking Thor, Thor's getting batted around, but Thor just keeps getting back up immediately. It's like there's no danger here. The only thing Thor is not in danger. The only thing that's in danger is the Earth. But even then, you're like, I'm not really concerned for the Earth
Because Thor's here.
Because Thor's here, and also the rest of the 9 realms and everything. And the Dark Elves are basically paper soldiers who get taken down by fucking the humans throwing a fucking car at them because gravity. That's another huge issue. The fucking humans, but that's an issue in every Thor movie except for Thor Ragnarok. We're gonna sidestep it because we bitch enough about it in
Darcy is
in
still
phase
garbage.
1.
Only now they've multiplied.
It just feels like Thor: The Dark World had, like I said, there are moments. You're right, Kodig. There are moments in Thor: The Dark World that are good.
I like the scene where Thor and Odin are talking at the War Council. When Thor has his plan and Odin has his plan, and they argue about which plan's going to happen, and then Odin's like, "I'm going to do my plan, but your plan's going to endanger our people."
How many of our people will you sacrifice to defeat your enemy? And he screams, "As many as are needed."
Then what makes you so different from Malekith? Because I will win.
No, that's not just that. He that moment of Odin be like, "Ha ha ha ha," because my son, I will win. Odin recognizes that Thor. Basically, it's the whole thing. It's the flip. It's the opposite. Odin is behaving like Thor was in the first movie, and it's showing you that Thor has become wiser. And even when they ask him, it's like, what about Odin? I was like, he's blinded by grief. Aren't you? I can see clearly enough. It's like, yes, I'm feeling the loss of my mother. I'm feeling the loss of all the Asgardian warriors. But my plan is to save as many lives as possible while still defeating our enemy. So I think that's just an interesting. Like I said, there are moments, and when you include Endgame, when they go back to the past and have Thor talk to his mother, it makes me care about this movie slightly more because it makes her death matter more. Because like in the original cut of Thor 1 and Thor 2, I don't think he shares like 2 words with the lady. It's just like, oh, that's my mom.
Yeah, I really wish that connection had been shown a bit more in the. That's my only complaint about the 1 and 2 is that the relationship between Thor and Odin is shown very clearly, but the relationship between Thor and his mother, Freya, never gets brought up.
Thor 2 does something that Thor 1 needed more of. Scenes of people talking to one another. And they do that. The problem is now all the problems are in the action scenes. Not the first one, where they're warring on that one planet in Svartalheim. Not Jotunheim. I think it was like Svartalheim or something like that. Whatever, doesn't matter. That seems really good. Any other fight scene in the movie? Not really.
Part of the problem comes to the fact that Malekith doesn't have any real power of his own. But let's talk about Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
because we're talking in circles now.
Kodig's gonna have way more to say about this movie than the first 2.
It is my favorite movie in the MCU, so I would have to definitely say so. Winter Soldier, I don't know what it is about it, whether it's my love for Captain America or
it's just a well directed, well shot, well written movie.
exactly. I love. Oh God, there's so much to say about this one. I love the first opening scene so much. It's probably one of my favorite opening scenes in a Marvel movie. Just you just see Falcon running along the path on the in Washington. I can't remember where it was.
It's the pool in front of the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial.
And you just have Cap just like on your left. No, not again, not again.
He's like
on your left.
I know, my left. I'm watching it.
I'm watching it.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
On your left.
Ah, come on. Like, need a medic? Need more like I need a new set of lungs. He's like, yeah, must have had a slow day. Oh, really? Should go take another lap. Punishment. Did you just do it? I couldn't see it.
I assume you just did it.
It's like,
if you can call that running.
And his name's Sam, Steve Rogers. Yeah, I kind of put that together.
You just ran 13 miles in 30 minutes. Oh, I love it so much.
I love how very quickly you see the chemistry of
between
their fantastic
Falcon,
friendship.
Between Falcon and Cap, it's like a lot of people, it's like, oh, they're so close, but they've known each other for so little time. It's like, well, when it comes to like people like these two, you don't really need a lot of time. It's that instant connection
It's
that you get to see.
It's that you when you fight alongside somebody, that is a bond stronger than most people will ever feel.
Exactly, and that's the reason why it's like when Cap goes to Falcon, a lot of people made this complaint. It's like, of all the people you could have gone to, you go to Falcon whenever they say that you can't trust anybody. Well, for one, he's outside of this circle. He's outside of the circle of
so S.H.I.E.L.D.'s not going to be watching him.
Exactly. Like
okay, I will say like the one thing, like not to cut you off, but the one thing that really irons out like Steve going to Sam is the one person who was one outside of S.H.I.E.L.D. circle, and two, Steve could actually get to. Who knows where Tony was? Who knows where freaking Hulk was? Like Natasha and Clint are S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. The only person he could go to that he could reasonably actually reach was
Sam.
Well, I mean, he was with Natasha, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Because Thor is
on
another fucking planet.
One of my biggest
Hulk is somewhere. Good luck finding him.
One of my biggest things with Winter Soldier, I think that they kind of ruined in Ultron. They set up a really good relationship there, and then it just.
We're not talking about that yet.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
They set up a really good relationship between Natasha and Cap. Now, whether you want to see that as romantic
in Winter Soldier, they have a fantastic.
Exactly, it's so great.
Rapport.
Like come back and forth between the two. It's amazing. I love it. The suit. I love his suit in that one. In Winter Soldier.
Is that the first kiss you've had since you went in the ice? It's like, I'm 90. I'm not dead.
I'm not dead.
It's like, are you still uncomfortable? That's not the word I would use. It's like kiss me. What? It's like physical attraction makes physical representations of affection make people very uncomfortable. Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. Like, yes,
I know this.
Rape. It's like, all right, two people in our front, one in flanking. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna engage, and it's like, shut up and put your arm around me and laugh slightly at his head. What? Do it. And then he looks and they just walk past somebody, and you see Steve going like, what? That worked? How did that work? And it just shows the difference. Like, Steve is a soldier, so he saw enemy combatants. He's like, all right, ready to engage. And Natasha, who is a spy, is like, nah.
Exactly.
We'll just walk right past them.
Which is why I think they make such a good team. Because, like, they combine together, their strengths really help iron out the other's weaknesses.
And Steve, as a soldier, follows orders. And Steve, as Captain America, has earned Natasha's respect.
Exactly.
So they can follow each other's leads very well.
And plus, like, there's a lot of really cool action scenes in that movie. Like, whenever he takes down the Quinjet.
So much.
That's great. I love it.
As my father says, that's good bullshit.
Exactly. When he takes down the Quinjet,
when you're just sitting there holding it, it's great.
Just fighting the fight scene between him and the Winter Soldier whenever they first meet. It's so
honestly,
good. And
I'm going to argue every fight scene between him and Winter Soldier are amazing.
Exactly. You can feel every punch.
I kind of disagree, because on the sheer fact of how Marvel cutscenes are edited, there's so many fast cuts, there's so many jump shots. The only I will say that when they want you to feel an impact, you do feel like when
You
Bucky,
do feel the
like
impact
when
when
Winter
they want you
Soldier
to.
punched Cap's shield, you felt that impact, but everything else was so fast and fluid.
Or
Like,
when Winter Soldier was the first one to catch Cap's shield.
yeah, it's like running in the opposite direction. Cap yeets the shield across a rooftop in the middle of the night. Bucky turns and has like a split second, catches it, makes eye contact with him,
And
throws it back at him, and then Steve is like, gets pushed back from the impact. Which, by the way, not physics, but we'll ignore that for right now. And then Steve looks back up, and then gone.
And then whenever he first
Even
reveals...
though everyone kind of agrees that when Bucky caught the shield, he's like, I'm keeping this. What? Nuh-uh. Give it back. Of course, Bucky being brainwashed and all, not a thought process. He's like, he doesn't care. He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't care what it is. He's just like, you threw this at me? All right, well, I'll catch it, throw it back at you, and that's my window to escape.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good tactics. Stupid decision overall.
And of course, anybody keep in mind, whenever this movie came out, I was not. I hadn't known what the Winter Soldier was.
Oh,
So like I was
to the reveal of the Winter
the
Soldier.
reveal
as
of the
Bucky.
Winter. For anyone who didn't read the comics, the reveal of the Winter Soldier was absolutely fantastic. Like it was great, and I think it was like a big shock to a lot of people because like when Bucky dies in the first Captain America movie, like
It's a
this was
genuine
before
thing. Think he died.
It's a tragic scene.
exactly like this was before they had established in like movie universes that people can come back like a lot.
People who die stay dead.
Exactly.
Like the only person who, like you have, of course, you have Cap who fell in the ice, and then the serum kept him alive in the ice, and then you had Tony who flew into who had a brush with death when it came to the missile. Nobody who had actually died.
Had ever come back.
Exactly. And then you had Bucky who just like out of nowhere is like, oh my god, it's Bucky from the first movie. It's his best friend.
Oh my god!
But he's fighting him. What's going on here?
I love their relationship, and it's like that sign of desperation that like, oh my god, my best friend is alive. Bucky's alive. Is tainted by the fact that Peggy is also alive, and he goes and he sees her.
Yeah, I do think that is a like I think we could have done without Peggy.
Like if everyone
I would
if everyone
prefer-
he knows is dead, if the love of his life is dead, and then Bucky shows up, that connection means all the more to Steve.
Yeah, I would have preferred if Steve hadn't found out about his girlfriend being alive until after that movie.
Until after she died.
Because there's a deleted scene in the first Avengers movie about Steve basically going through the classified files of the Howling Commandos, and he's seeing and he opens it up and it's deceased. He opens it, deceased. He opens it, deceased. And then it's Agent Peggy Carter. He opens it and it says alive, current address. And you see that moment where like Steve's eyes, and he has like, and then he has a debate with himself. That scene was cut in the Avengers.
Yeah.
But if that scene was in the Avengers, and then in this movie, we never see Steve actually go talk to Peggy, I would also have liked that. That Steve didn't have the strength to go see Peggy. And then Bucky, and then it turns out
girlfriend.
like Bucky's alive.
And he's around my age, which is weird.
Yeah.
It's just the fact of it's like, well, yeah, like Peggy being alive, Peggy lived all those years Steve was in the ice.
Bucky's like him.
Bucky's like him. He's a man out of time. He's somebody who can relate, but also who knows me and I know him.
Exactly.
Like, I don't mind, like, the whole thing, like, Peggy being, like, a wisdom figure for Steve. I hate that we see him talk to her in this movie. Because, of course, when we get to Civil War, brief conversation, I like that she dies, and that's one of the things that pushes Steve over the edge. Good
Yes.
framing. Makes sense.
I prefer if he didn't talk to her until Civil War.
Yeah.
Like, it was like at the end of Winter Soldier, he actually, after confronting Bucky and coming to terms with the fact with everything in that movie, if he then goes and starts talking to Peggy.
And then the movie ends with, like, maybe, like, he rings, like, maybe a post-credit scene where he rings the doorbell, and it's her, and it's her home.
I think the only thing that I kind of, like, got thrown off because of another movie, yet again, same fucking movie, that throws it off for everything, is the whole scene with Nick and the actual head of S.H.I.E.L.D., with Nick Fury and the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's like,
okay,
last time
are you talking-
I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
That's
Yeah.
between Nick
That's
and
such a
Cap.
good scene.
No, that's between Nick and Cap.
No.
Yep,
It is.
between Nick and Cap.
It's like
No,
but
no, no, no,
I
no,
do
no, no.
I do share. I'm nice like that.
No. The last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
That's between
That's when-
Steve
that's
and
between
Nick.
Nick and Cap, because Steve, it's immediately after Steve goes on his little
Tirade about how Nick doesn't know. It's like no one can spill the secrets because no one knows all the secrets except you. And that's one of the reasons why Nick shows Steve Project Insight.
Yeah,
Is that whole conversation where basically Steve is like, this isn't right. There's no
You
trust here.
yeah,
We're
because-
not an army. We're a conspiracy.
yeah, because in his first mission, he finds out.
Well, either
there
way-
were like a whole
either way.
bunch of things.
No,
he
I do
didn't
know what
know.
you're talking about though. It's
But I do get what
the,
you're
whole,
talking
the
about.
whole weight of that scene is like, last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye.
It was just a
And then you
fucking
find out
cat.
it was a fucking cat, and it's like, what the?
It's stupid. Like, I
mm.
get it. You want to make jokes, but that is not that derails an entire.
That's a major thing about Nick's backstory is how he lost his eye, why he has an eye patch. That's important. And
And
even
it
if you
should
and
have
even if you
a
never
lot
even if you
more-
never find out how he lost his eye, the fact that he hints about the fact of I lost this because I trusted somebody, that's important. That has weight.
Yeah, if you're gonna reveal that, that should have been a much more powerful
A tragedy.
thing. That should have been someone he actually fucking trusted,
Like,
someone he genuinely
You could
cared
you
about.
could have him in that movie with Captain Marvel. Like he lost his eye because he trusted a Skrull in disguise, and that's how he lost his eye.
And that's okay, but make that scroll like his best friend or something.
No. You don't. No, you don't have to make that Skrull his best friend. It's a last time he trusted somebody lost an eye. It was a Skrull shapeshifters. The whole thing is they are impersonating people. Have it be the Skrulls impersonating somebody that Nick would have trusted, and then that he lost his eye because it turned out it wasn't them, and so that's what gave him the trust issues.
Yeah, someone like that, someone with he has a close connection to, either as a friend or as a coworker, someone that he trusts deeply, like a partner or
Winter Soldier.
a superior.
Winter Soldiers. It's a really good movie. In my opinion, it has some of the strongest character work in all the movies. It's the first time I actually like. It's a comment that Cosmonaut made. It's like Falcon, nobody's favorite Avenger. I liked him in Winter Soldier because he had the strongest character in that movie. Every other
Same.
movie, he's just like he's there.
Yeah. Anyways, moving from the Winter Soldier over to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
And copyright strike.
Less than 30 seconds.
Guardians is one of those standalone movies. You could watch that. You could show that to anyone, and they can enjoy it because it's an origin story
for the
that
Guardians.
has really nothing to do with the rest of the Marvel universe, which is fine.
Yeah.
This was the first time that wacky space magic hijinks was brought into the Marvel movies.
And it was
Yeah.
great.
It was
It
good.
was fantastic. I loved it.
Star-Lord was amazing. I love Star-Lord so much, still to this
Like,
day, no matter what
and,
happened.
And the thing that I really like about Star-Lord is the fact that he's the leader, but unlike Cap, he's not just brawn, he's also a little brain.
He's the
he's
leader, but he doesn't
clever.
have it. He doesn't have the same respect.
And
Yeah.
he also doesn't have the same respect.
And he is kind of technically just a normal dude.
But the problem is, like, he's leader by default because nobody else has the temperament necessary to lead.
No one has the...
Temperament.
yeah.
Gamora was raised by Thanos. Her whole thing was to kill, trust no one, move on. Rocket is insane. Drax is a
Also
warrior
insane.
without a good, firm grasp of how the world works.
And Groot is Groot.
He's a Ronin.
And,
He has
and Groot is Groot.
Groot is Groot. Groot is not
Groot is
not
the
smart
muscle.
enough.
And basically, Quill is the only one who's like, okay, I was raised as a Ravager. I've led heists before. I've followed people in heists before, so I know how to lead and how to follow. I have a wide knowledge range, maybe not as wide as Rocket's, but Rocket's is
enough.
more specialized, and Star-Lord has more like
General knowledge.
general applicable knowledge. Gamora, Groot, basically everybody except Rocket is a better fighter than Star-Lord is. But it's Star-Lord's ability to adapt.
And alter and change. Star-Lord uses everything at his disposal in often really clever ways.
It's like in Infinity War, when he engaged with the Avengers, it was a brief fight where everything was about the element of surprise, and Star-Lord saw the exact moment when the tide was turning, and that's when he grabbed Peter and was like, all right, nobody move, I'm getting my demands made, because he realized in a prolonged conflict, we're not going to win, so I have to end this now on my terms.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons why I like Star-Lord so much.
Of course, anyone who's actually read the Guardians of the Galaxy comic books, no one is anyone in these movies as they are in the comics.
Yeah, Star-Lord has murdered more people than anyone in the Marvel Universe, besides maybe Thanos.
Yeah, Kodig and I actually had a conversation about this a long time ago, where basically, while Star-Lord is a Marvel character, he is not a Marvel superhero.
No.
Because he engages in outer space. And when you're in outer space, the rules change. There are no superheroes in outer space. It's just people of power.
Yeah.
You have armies, you have tyrants, you have gods, you have demons. In space, there are no heroes because space is too vast for heroes to actually function.
Yeah.
In space, the death totals aren't thousands, they aren't millions, they are trillions. Planets die in spatial conflicts. So you can't really be a hero in these contexts. So Star-Lord, not a hero.
Yeah.
No.
He's not intended to be.
He's
a killed over 258 million people.
Yeah. Now, they definitely made Star-Lord in the movie way softer.
Oh yeah.
Than he is in the comics. They make everybody way softer in the movie than the comics, mostly because it's a comedy.
Yeah.
Unlike almost every other Marvel movie, Guardians of the Galaxy is first and foremost
comedy.
It's not a pure comedy. It's an action adventure comedy.
Yeah.
But it's
first a comedy.
It's a comedy first, exactly.
And it had to be because the other movies preceding it were very serious and very dark.
And also, Guardians of the Galaxy is just weird.
Yeah, it's kind of wacky.
It was the first time we were in outer space, where all the rules are different. And I love how they contrast it. You have a bright, colorful, wacky adventure movie with a villain who, every time he's on screen, is shot like a movie taking itself seriously. It looks like a Ridley Scott film. Like whenever Ronan is first introduced.
Dark, he's menacing, he's theatrical.
He murders somebody.
Yeah, like Malekith compared to Ronan. Like, Ronan has presence. He has weight. You fear what he's capable of. And when he gets the Infinity Stone, that is amplified. Malekith, not so much.
Not so much.
Even in a comedy movie where they take the piss out of Ronan at every chance they get, you realize the reason they're making fun of him is because it's the only chance they have. They have to distract him. They have to delay him. They're making fun of him because it makes him look at the person and raise his eyebrows like, what are you doing? I'm distracting you, you turd.
Yeah, when Star-Lord does the dance-off, it's legitimately just throwing Ronan off by weirdness.
Which is a great solution to that problem, might I say.
No, yeah. It's literally, they're throwing everything they have. It's like, the lies like, Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. Take that to Star-Lord, who's like, I saved the world with everything I could grab in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I made a plan to save a planet in 5 minutes, and I had nothing.
Yeah, I saved the world with a dance-off.
Can you say that?
They gotta just cut the wire. His thing is like, Guardians had to be funny and silly. One, to introduce the weird premise, and also two, to bring levity. Because whereas most Marvel movies are fairly serious with moments of quippy hijinks to make the tone from getting too dark, Guardians was a comedy first. So while everyone's making jokes, they're also telling different kinds of jokes. It's like, of course, like, you know, you have freaking Star-Lord making pop culture references. You have Rocket just being an asshole. You have, Drax not getting any of the jokes. And then you have, I am Groot. It's like, well, it's
That
like, what
was
is with
very
giving tree over
enlightening.
here? Well, he knows stock good like you and me's. His vocabulation is restricted to I and am and Groot. Exclusively in that order.
And then you have Gamora, who's just
I'm going to die surrounded by the biggest idiots in the galaxy.
who's Vegeta.
She's not
No.
Vegeta, no. But it is nice
But has
to have...
Vegeta attitude.
No.
Yeah.
No.
A little bit.
Gamora didn't murder somebody because it was convenient for her.
This is true.
Yeah.
I
I'll give you that one.
hate when people compare. It's like, oh, she's the Vegeta. It's like, no. Do you actually... I'm stopping myself. That is a rant for another day. Pro tip, do not compare people to Vegeta unless you're willing to back it up with me. Just saying. Anyway,
Everyone knows
Guardians...
Batman is like Vegeta.
No.
No.
Guardians is probably one of the best movies in...
Phase 2.
No, in general, in the entirety of the movies. Because, like I said, it's a good standalone movie. You can show it to anyone with no knowledge of Marvel and get them into the movies. It's lighthearted. It's warm. It's sad when it needs to be, and it's action packed when it needs to be. But it's all in the point of explaining how 5 strangers, 5 criminals, got the title of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Also,
Want to do something bad? Something good? A little bit of both?
We'll follow your lead.
A little bit of both.
Star-Lord. A little bit of both. It's like, sir,
also-
sir, what? It's like, sir, what happens if they have something and I want it more than they do and I take it from them?
That's
Stealing.
stealing.
It's illegal. No, sir, you don't understand. I want it more than they do. What? It's like, come on, Rocket. What? Not allowed to have a conversation with a gentleman?
yeah.
What if somebody irks me and I remove their spine? It's
That's
Murder.
murder.
It's
One of
the
the worst crimes.
Worst crimes.
so illegal. It's like, don't worry, I'll keep an eye on them. You'll keep an eye on them? Now I'm scared.
Guys, time to move on to Ultron, Avengers: Age of Ultron. Probably the worst Avengers movie, and
I can buy that.
yeah,
It is.
I can
It's not
out of the 4. It is definitely the least.
it's not a terrible movie, or what I like to call, Avengers: Weekend of Ultron.
Okay, that's an easy fodder joke, and it pisses me off because it's not the movie.
The
The Age
week
of
of
Ultron.
Ultron.
It's Ultron is trying to
bring
begin
about
the Age of Ultron.
I get it, but it's still like
It's
he's
achieved-
barely a
it's-
threat.
It's I don't say he's barely a threat. It's low hanging fruit, and it's why I don't like that joke.
He's barely a threat. Okay, here's the thing. Okay,
It upsets me that the sheer fact of Ultron is one of the most terrifying villains in Marvel.
I'm saying in this movie he's barely a threat,
Oh.
and that's the problem.
They do point out the fact of Ultron as he is, with his robotic suit and his intellect, he is strong enough to take on the Avengers. What marks him is his flawed logic, and the fact that he has a Tony thing is like he makes jokes when it's not appropriate. Is
Which I kind of like, because it kind of brings back the fact that Tony made this thing,
I hate it.
and he's trying to...
I hate that Ultron is making jokes. I hate that Ultron is a quippy, chatty person.
Because that is not Ultron.
That's not Ultron. He is a engine of cold logic. He is terrifying. And his design in this movie, I hate it as well. Now, Ultron, isolated in this film, ignoring his comic book interpretation, I think he works in the movie.
Yeah, that's
I
things.
personally
I think he works
hate
in
it.
the movie.
Of course, it introduced, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, which, I kind of wish we would have had more Quicksilver, because
Yeah.
Quicksilver's a cool-ass hero.
The thing is,
You touched upon something, actually, Aaron, that I want to bring up.
You touched upon something, Iron Man?
Yeah, Aaron, that I want to kind of bring up. The people who genuinely genuinely hate Ultron are usually people who read the comics and loved Ultron in the comics. And that's fine, guys. Really, it is.
this is one of those villains who, in a timeline, won. He is one of the few villains in comic book history who actually won.
in a timeline, and that's fine. I get why you hate him in this movie when he doesn't measure up to any of the other Ultrons in the other comics.
Just wait till we get to Thor Ragnarok. Me and Kodak are gonna have a field day.
Yeah.
Yeah, the character.
You can't come. Okay,
Okay,
I'm
no.
just
Next time. Next time.
No, next time, we're all going to stop right now before we get caught in tangent. The point is,
Spend 30 minutes on fucking Ragnarok alone.
put that aside, guys.
Sorry,
this
Hulk
a
is one of my
new-
favorite
this is a different
characters.
universe with different rules, and these are very different characters.
Okay, so the
It
Hulk versus
should
Iron
be
Man.
This was interesting because, hang on, no, ratcheting back to Ultron, because it is one thing. Ultron is the second villain to be quippy and humorous. The first one, interestingly enough, was the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. I know when Iron Man 3 we kind of skipped over the Mandarin reveal, mostly because we talked about everything we wanted to talk about on that in the last one. It works. Disappointed. But, whereas the Mandarin, like the leader of AIM, he is fun. He makes jokes. He has this presence to him. And then you have Ultron, who also makes jokes. They are the only two villains so far that make jokes, which is interesting. It's an odd choice that Ultron was the one to say. It's a robot. It's an artificial intelligence. Why is it making jokes? Like, ignoring his comic book interpretation. Why is the artificial intelligence designed to protect humanity quippy?
I think, again, this would be me interpreting events weirdly, but I think Ultron's trying to measure up to
Ultron,
Tony.
yes.
Yes,
Ultron?
Ultron. Ultron is trying to measure up to Tony.
I will say, though, why the heck does Ultron consider Tony Stark to be his father?
Well, clearly it was Bruce.
Oh, Hulk was there, too.
I have two
married.
daddies.
It might be two dads. Ultron might just think he has two dads, and he just never brings up the Bruce
I
one.
think
Honestly,
honestly,
it just ties back to the fact
Ultron
that Tony
is
Stark
the-
is the main character
is
of the
the-
MCU.
Ultron is probably like by himself is the lowest threat at the beginning of that movie. In all honesty, it was probably Scarlet Witch as a villain who does not understand her powers and what they're capable of yet.
Watch WandaVision on Disney Plus.
No.
Like I said, the scene where she brainwashes the Hulk.
Oh, that leads into the Hulkbuster fight.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely terrifying, because at least 9 times out of 10 the Hulk has the Hulk himself, the Hulk's personality. He has a semblance of like, yeah, I want to smash everything, but I have a goal. There is an aim. I am trying to kill these. I am trying to attack these. I don't want to hurt these people. I want to hurt these people.
That's something
that is something that the Hulk can understand.
Every comic, when a character who actually takes the time to observe Hulk always comments on the fact of whenever there's a fight in a populated area,
Hulk brings the fight somewhere else.
or he has the concern necessary to protect the civilians who have nothing to do.
Exactly. But when you brainwash him and he's just in a
That goes out the
blind
window.
rage, that is probably one of the most terrifying things you can have. Because, like, honestly, I kind of thought they were going to go into the whole World Breaker
Hulk.
thing with that. And that would have been one of the most terrifying things.
Knowing where this movie's go, I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because
I-
it's wasted.
Yeah, but
wasted.
like, that would have been
Terrifying.
the most terrifying thing that
Yeah.
they had ever faced up until this point. Like, none of the Avengers besides Thor can take Hulk in a one-on-one fight. Now, combined together with the Hulkbuster suit, doable.
I do love the fact how they mentioned in passing, Bruce helped design,
The Hulkbuster
Hulkbuster.
suit, which is great. That's actually
as like Bruce had the care and the forethought to help Tony create a countermeasure for the Hulk.
Yeah, that's brilliantly done.
exactly. Now, like, of course, you know, they had a lot of funny moments there in a terrifying fight. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Come
Go to
on,
sleep. Go to
you're
sleep.
stronger than her. You're smarter than her. You're Bruce Banner. Right.
Right.
Don't mention Peter Banner.
Beauty Banner.
Don't mention Peter Banner.
Oh, and the back dick move, Banner.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Hits him so hard and knocks a tooth out. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's so good.
It's really funny.
Because, like, he's just a wild rage monster.
And then
at
I
this
like
point.
how at the end of that fight, when the building comes down, you have Hulk gets up out of the rubble, and
then
he witnesses.
sees. because he's finally shaken off the magic and he sees
What he's done.
the destruction he's caused.
And you can see he's upset. Like, he looks like he's about to start crying almost.
Because this is not...
And then the guards take aim, and he's like, "Rrr," and then sucker punch from Tony knocks him out. Which, good. I actually find it hilarious that it was a sucker punch that ended that fight.
Finally dropped him.
I think that's really
The
funny.
only way
actually.
you could have done that.
You gotta take him by surprise.
Yeah, you can't beat the Hulk in a fucking...
I don't know. Wolverine can.
Multiple times, actually.
I think it's funny, like, the whole, like, between Wolverine and Hulk thing. It's like, not very many people know what it's like to get punched by the Hulk. Because not many people can survive the tail to tail.
I'm like the only person.
All I can tell you is it feels like every single bone in your body getting snapped all at once. It is one of the most incredibly intense pains you will ever feel. And I have a fucking adamantium skeleton. Can imagine what it'd be like for others.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
I'm sorry, Hulk is one of my favorite heroes of all time.
No, it's fine, and you're allowed to love Hulk. I'm not going to say that.
Hulk is genuinely interesting.
When he's written well, he has one of the most interesting storylines in comics.
Sorry, he's just like
I know,
Ultron.
wasted in the movie. Wasted.
Like Ultron, after Ultron, Hulk gone, wasted. I hated him in Thor Ragnarok. Okay, sorry, I'm not gonna get into that. Anyways, let's move into Ant-Man. Before I start,
I guess,
going into a 20-minute rant.
Well, the interesting thing is I like Vision in Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
he is not at all what he is in the comics. It's very, very, very different circumstances.
He's way more powerful than he is in the comics.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of the opposite of what they usually do.
And I think it's very interesting because, and I do like how they do tie the fact of Ultron and Vision have an interesting relationship because in the comics they do. It's not always highlighted. But basic fact of is Vision is also a sentient robot.
He's a sentient AI.
But with far more understanding of what it means to live.
Yeah.
And compassion, which is great.
Also, you know that Vision is one of the few people in the universe that Loki will sit down and have a conversation with.
It's nice.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Anyways, Ant-Man.
I'm upset they never got a chance to really talk.
Between Ultron and Vision?
No.
Or Vision and Loki?
Loki and Vision. I think that would be interesting.
That would be really interesting if they actually had a chance to sit down and chat. Also,
nobody cares. Ant-Man is while I would say Thor: The Dark World is the worst movie in Phase 2, Ant-Man is the weakest.
Ant-Man is
I fucking love
the weakest.
Ant-Man.
Oh no, it's a great movie. It's just really fucking weak.
If you remove it from Phase 2,
nothing changes.
Very little changes because he gets introduced in Civil War. Is like, hey, I have a guy. Brings on Ant-Man. Ant-Man's in the fight scene, and then he's gone because that's his only purpose in that movie. And then you have Infinity War. Well, guess what? You've been introduced to Ant-Man in Civil War. Not Infinity War.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
No, in Endgame. No, I'm saying ignoring Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ignoring Ant-Man.
Where it's
you don't have to watch those movies. And yet you understand his character and his position in the movies. Like,
doesn't change the fact that the movies are still good.
I've never seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. All I know is there's a really, very annoying conclusion to the movie. How they solve the conflict in that movie is
dumb, apparently. I don't know because I haven't
Ant-Man
watched it either.
Ant-Man is a standalone movie.
And yet I understood what was happening in Endgame.
Yep.
See, Ant-Man has that Guardians of the Galaxy thing.
I disagree.
I disagree as well. I don't
explain.
Ant-Man, as a movie, is a character narrative, as most of these origins are. But the problem is, it feels like the character of Scott doesn't have the presence necessary to carry these movies.
Yeah.
Like the other ones are. He is a guy he is a father who lost visitation rights and is doing everything he can to be a father to his daughter and prove to people he's not a criminal. While he did break the law, he himself is not a criminal. And that's interesting.
That's interesting.
But it's mired by the Yellow Jacket plot.
It's mired by the Yellow Jacket plot and Scott's...
Well, Paul Rudd...
I don't know.
Like, Paul Rudd is a good actor. It's hard... Like, I am glad that they decided to make him Scott Lang instead of Hank Pym, because that would not have worked. And I am a little upset about how Hank is portrayed, knowing his comic iteration, but I can ignore
What do you
it.
mean?
Well, first off, Hank's a pacifist in the
Yeah.
comics. You don't really get that in the movie.
Well, Hank is also yeah, Hank is a pacifist, but he's also highly fucking aggressive.
Not really.
Yeah,
yes,
Not not until later when he has his mental break.
Well, they do state that year after years in the suit.
You also realize the fact of Ant-Man has such a psychotic break. He no longer is Ant-Man and ends up becoming Yellow Jacket.
True.
So I'm talking about Hank Pym as the Ant-Man. He's a pacifist. He prefers to talk his way out of problems. He wants to find non-confrontational solutions. So while I would believe Hank Pym would come to the conclusion of we need to steal this suit, how Hank acts in the movie is not part of his character. And if you're going to bring up the whole thing of like years of exposure to the particle changes people with brainwaves, counterpoint, they talk about how the helmet shields his brain from it, therefore counters that. It's the reason why the villain went insane and Hank is fine, is because Hank designed the helmet to protect himself because he created the particle and knew the effect.
Yeah,
I
but then
think
again,
part
he
of-
also states that after being in the suit for so long, that's the reason why he can't do it anymore.
It put a
It's
strain
because
on his
it
body.
still puts the strain on him.
Yeah, it puts a strain on his body, not on his
Not
brain.
in his mind.
I don't know, you might want to rewatch that movie because I'm pretty sure.
A few weeks ago, I watched every single movie except for Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel because I didn't want to. I watched the movie. I know the scene you're talking about. His brain is fine.
I don't know.
I will bring up one thing that I do kind of explains his character's actions to me.
I know he's an old man now.
He's an old man
Who
in
lost
a
his
rushed
wife.
job.
He's an old man who lost his wife, lost the affections of his daughter.
Lost his
yada yada
company.
yada yada. I get it. I understand. I got it. I got the
Yeah, but
concept.
it's an old man who is doing a rush job with an idiot.
Scott Lang's not an idiot.
Scott's an idiot. Not an idiot.
Scott Lang is intelligent, but he acts really weird. He works weird.
So he's you.
dumb
I'm just kidding.
No.
at moments.
No. Scott isn't dumb. There's no point in the movie where Scott is dumb. There are moments where he underestimates because he's not a fighter. Like whenever he was training with Hope, and he's like, show me how to punch, and he punches. Like, I was in prison. I know how to fight. Oh really? Show me how to punch. It's like punch. It's like terrible. It's like, oh yeah, well show me how to punch. And then he gets shot and he gets punched in the face by her. It's like he makes like he's not dumb. And it's like the scenes where he's being a little weird, like when he's training with the suit. He doesn't know how any of this shit works. Have you ever been charged by an army of ants underground? You freak out. Everything he does is not stupid. It's an inexperience and unfamiliarity with the circumstance. He is a guy who has a master's in electrical engineering. He is intelligent enough that he broke into Hank's house flawlessly. The only reason he got caught the second time was because Hope called the police on him because she knew he was going there.
To put the suit back.
To the
'cause,
suit
oh
back.
my god, this is a terrible thing. Put
This,
this back.
I hate this thing. No, not once in the entire movie does he make a dumb decision. So I don't know where you're coming from. Is like he's intelligent but makes dumb choices.
Not dumb. His goofiness gets in the way of his character.
He has a daughter who is like 6 years old. I take that entire point of he was in prison for years. He wanted to keep that friendly exterior so whenever he got out, he could still be a father to his daughter.
Which is great, honestly. Hashtag best dad.
Mm-hmm.
He is best dad.
And also hashtag best stepdad.
Oh my god, he's so ugly. I love him.
Yeah, screw it.
Anyways,
Scott Lang is best dad. He's great. I love him.
Anyways, guys, I know we didn't go too much into Ant-Man there, but again, it's...
Oh, apparently Cody has determined that we rambled on a little too long earlier, and therefore we need to end this podcast, I guess.
Yeah,
No.
we're pretty
I refuse.
pretty
Let's
deep
talk about
into it.
Age of Ultron some more. Hey,
Yeah.
so about
that's gonna be
Ultron.
it for
I
us,
think there is
guys.
a huge disconnect
Ryan,
people have between.
Stop. I'm
everyone
gonna
is
cut all
like-
this anyways, Ryan. Stop.
Yeah, no, see, because everyone thinks that Ultron, he starts off with the plan to destroy humanity for some reason. People don't realize.
Who has that interpretation?
Guys, I'm gonna cut all
honest
this.
game trailers, how it should have ended.
I need to watch those videos. I don't remember that at all.
What?
Yeah, and how it should have ended. Basically, one of the biggest jokes they play on is well, if his plan was to end the world,
Guys,
why
we're at
didn't he just
65 minutes.
do
Stop.
this and destroy the internet? No, guys, that was his that was like Plan Z.
Okay, well, counterpoint. Ultron in his infinite
Ultron's
wisdom
just
decided to go
broken
for the
logic.
meteorite instead of taking out the internet like he could have. Like, I do like to point out the fact of is like he went for nuclear codes, but people stopped him from
Yeah.
accessing them, which is why he went for the meteor, which is still stupid. But
Anyways, that's gonna do us for today, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You know, leave us a comment for what you want us to commentate on, and we will.
you want to
Take a
hear
look.
our opinion on something? Leave it in comments. Either we'll talk about it or we won't because we don't have an opinion on it.
Exactly.
No, seriously, guys, it was an opinion. We're running out of ideas.
Right. Exactly.
Well, not running out of ideas. It's effective. It's like the ideas that we have, one of us does not have enough information to comment on.
So,
Yeah.
until next time, I've been Kodig.
I've been Aaron.
And I'm still Ryan.
Bye.
Who would think you're not still Ryan?
I got to you.